Alright, here we go with my second video about scouting. This time around we're going with active scouting. As the name suggests, you're pretty much driving around, actively scouting instead of passively standing around, and you probably get spotted as you spot enemies. Now in this map in particular, as someone's already pinging on the minimap, you're going down into the river and basically drive up the hill on the other side, which we will see in a moment. To active scout, you probably want a tank that is very maneuverable and mobile, and probably also has some hit points and maybe even armor. Like the WZ-131 is a little bit trollish at times. It doesn't have any armor, but it can troll you a little bit with the turret armor if you really aim. There we go. Aim badly. As you can see here, both scouts engaging against other scouts, getting a nice hit on the T-71. Always try to hit the enemy head on. T-71 is going down here. Taking aim carefully, take out the T-71, the enemy one it is. Fight 59, 16 coming in. In a battle against scout versus scout, which will often happen while active scouting, you will want to aim steady and carefully. I will want to try and make the best out of it. Problem is, scouts usually don't have any armor. As you can see, he can easily pan me. He has no problems with that. However, I can take him out quite easily too. Because the gun on the WZ-131 is really nice. We got here is a 100mm gun with 250 damage. That is quite nice. I'm going to talk about that later in the later half of the game, of the video. Now, as you can see here, a few tanks are already spotted, but I'm taking the opportunity, spotting all these tanks, driving backwards. You basically drive up. As you can see, this is my view. As I'm looking, I'm holding down the right mouse button as always. I'm pretty much just trying to spot these guys without them getting any angle on my turret. Turret of the WZ or of any light tank is also really easy for these guys to penetrate. So what you want to do is dodge these shots. Just don't ever come into the position that they'll shoot you. Now, as you can see here, what I'm doing is changing my angle. Instead of all the time driving up the same lane, I change the angle, drive all the way over here, because they probably won't see that. As you can see there, the Tiger II had to move its turret, and that gave me the time to come down again. And I'm going up again. Obviously I'm spotted at the moment. As long as they're spotted, so am I. And I'm slowly now going to the middle, coming all the way over here, because that's the way to go. Move up, and move down again. And that's active scouting. In a nutshell, pretty much. There's not much else to it. You can differ your tactics a little bit here and there, but on the very basic level, this is about it. You basically just try to spot these guys all the time, keep them spotted, and try to survive. Personally, I don't really like active scouting that much. Problem with the WZ on this map is I don't have a camo net, I don't have binocs, so I can't really stand on the other side of the river and passive scout. So I'm pretty much having to move up and do this. That's really it. There's a few, like usually you have on each map you have a few positions where you go and from where you attack and from where you start scouting. For example, let's see, Camp Novka, you can rush on the field and spot the enemy team. If you're good enough with dodging, even with the new accuracy patch, you should be able to dodge enough shells and get away with that alive. Personally, still, I prefer passive scouting, but that's more something you have to decide for yourself. And for the WZ-131, this is going to be the next part of the video. Active scouting is not a big part, I think. It's pretty easy to understand. Where it's basically trial and error until you figure it out yourself. That's the best way to go with it. Now, let's talk about thinking outside of the box for a moment. WZ 131, in my opinion, along with the AMX 1390, the T-71, and a few other light tanks, is not a scout, in my opinion. This tank especially, but other tanks too, these are not scouts. They're highly mobile weapons platforms, nothing more, nothing less. They can scout, of course, they have the speed for that, they have the light tank camo, but what they can do much better, as you can see here, I already did 1000 damage to light tanks, that is. However, you're going to see what I'm doing with this tank now. And because of its really nice gun and its mobility, you're really quite nice to just... You well work. The whole tank is built around just being this flanker, this really light medium tank. As you can see here, Tiger 2 completely ignores me. I'm having a really bad shot there. I didn't aim at all. Really bad snapshot by me. But however, he doesn't care about me, so he gives me all these shots on his hero here. I can pan his front even very easily. Lower front plate, no problems at all with this gun. Same with the AMX 1390, 1375 even. No problems. As you can see, a lot of snapshotting here, shooting on the move, missing a lot, lagging around a little bit. But there we go, setting him on fire. He's an extinguisher, good call there. Quite fast too. But that really is it, and there he goes, being set aflame again. Now you see, I'm just strafing around him, taking aim. Taking him out, that's it. There we go. Tiger 2 killed. That's 1,478 hit points taken from a Tiger 2. Just like that, snap. And point is, light tanks like this are not scouts. You have to keep that in mind when you grind the lines. The 5916, the scout tank before this one, for example, that is something in between. That tank is already really great with its ROF. It can easily take out enemy tanks. But personally I prefer using it as a scout. Passive scout, that is. But tanks like this are just highly mobile weapons platforms. Think Hellcat, only mobile. Only with the speed to do stuff. Now the penetration is not that great. You will want to have a little bit of premium ammunition with you, because you can get into tier 10 battles, of course, you still get the scout matchmaking. But aside from that, you really want to fight in these tanks. And I would actively promote, fighting in these tanks instead of scouting, solely scouting. You can do scouting too, it's not a problem. But really, you should try to fight. Like, as you can see, I'm reloading heat for this IS-3 because he has troll armor. Literally using the crumble as a shield right here. Aiming carefully, and there we go, IS-3 downed. Killed 2 tier 8s and a scout. What else is there to say? Well, thinking outside the box, what else can that mean? Now that we got it covered, we got active, passive scouting, active scouting, we got it covered that basically light tanks are not scout tanks per se. There can be all kinds of different things. Like, for example, a tier 7 scout tank that really is a scout. Yeah, I can't touch. I can't put my finger on one really. No, I mean T-71 has good scouting abilities, but still, that autoloader just devastates people so easily. It's much better used as a fighting tank than a scouting tank. Oh well, let's talk a little bit about thinking outside the box more. And we're going to change the bell for that. See you in a moment. Alright, here we go with one of my fan favorite tanks. Here we go with the mouse tank. Now why am I playing the mouse tank in a video about scouting and spotting and all sorts of things and stuffs? Well, it's weird. Why would I? I'm going to make a point here. And the point is, a scout doesn't have to be a light tank. A scout can be a medium, a scout can be a tank destroyer, a scout can be a heavy tank, or even a godforsaken artillery. The reason is, scouting is basically just spotting for others. And everyone can do that. And the mouse is a really nice example for that, because it has the armor to withstand so much damage that you can just stand in front of the enemy and look at them and be like, yeah, that scratched my nose a little bit. Meanwhile, all your allies at 300 meters behind you just devastate them. And as you can see here, I'm making my way towards the forest. Obviously, really nice call here. Medium tanks and light tanks are already moving towards the forest. Firing on the move, always a good call. Don't stop. Like, this is for the mouse tank, but basically for every tank. Don't ever stop in the open field. Just fire on the move. You don't hit? Well, who knows? You just missed a shot and lost, what, 1,000 credits, 2,000, 3,000? Oh my god, this is the end of the world in a tier 10. So, as you can see, they are currently spotting all these tanks in the forest by just standing in the outskirts of the forest. However, they will probably not engage further, or only very slowly, and the mouse can just go in there until it spots something, and then it has to angle its armor, and then it can just go forward again. I'm thinking of getting 2,000 spotting damage I think I got in this game. And that's basically by just going in here in a heavy tank, because you don't need scouts to go forward first. I'm just firing on the move at the moment, making myself visible here. E75 takes me as the target of opportunity. WT, E100 here. Bounces 2 shots. I know that he's there now. However, the problem at the moment is there's so many targets I have to choose which one to angle to. Obviously, T110 is the important target. However, I take the shot. Really bad call by me. Now taking out the Rheinmetall Borsig is more important than anything else. I don't know what he was actually doing here, but oh well. Now I want to move forward because Waffle Trigger is most likely reloading, and these guys won't pan me unless I've completely screwed up. So I'm just gonna move forward, push through the forest. There's the WT. I'm just keeping myself angled. There we go, he's out of the play. I think I actually only got like 1,000 something spotting damage in this one. It was another game. And that's all you do. Sometimes you can scout in a heavy tank. I did 1,000 something spotting damage just by going straight in. I see so many people in heavy tanks or light tank destroyers. Just look where everyone else is. There are IS-8s over there. They're so much faster than I am. So much faster than I am. They could have already been around here by the time I got lit and fired upon. They could have already been here. They could have already flanked all these guys. Could have taken out the WT that was probably around here and then moved backwards. And they could have gotten spotting damage. They could have gotten into close combat. There are only tank destroyers in here. And that's a big problem in my opinion, because sending in the light tanks will probably just get the light tanks killed. So what you have to do is stay with them, at least to some degree. Like heavy tanks, of course a tank like the let's see, what do we have here? The WT100, for example, the Waffle Trigger should be up front. I agree totally. The Object 268 with its enormous camo can be up front to some degree, because it has like 50% camo that will just devastate everything, and it has its Klingon cloaking device. But heavy tanks? No, they shouldn't stay in the rear and be snipers and let the light tanks scout everything. Just go up front and spot for yourself. That's a little bit of thinking outside of the box too. Anyway, that's basically it. There's not much else to scouting really. There's a lot of minute and minor things that all act together and work together. But really, these are things you have to find out yourself, I think. If you got the basics covered, then you can advance up on that. And I think it's, first of all, it's more fun. In my opinion, it's always more fun learning things yourself. But these really advanced things, you just have to build up on them yourself. You can always ask people in the forums or directly via PM in-game, forum in-game, PM of course, always. But finding out yourself, I think that mostly works better because you know directly, personally, what you know and what you need to know and where your problems are. And if you don't see your problems, you can always ask. Oh, well, that's it. Scouting. See you next time.